Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a long time since we've all been together, so this is good and fun. I was just talking to Brianna about how annoying I've been on all these department meetings, and I'm like losing my patience and temper with everyone. So it's nice to be in a group of people that all do the same thing and we share common annoyances. Anyway, so while we're waiting for others to join, I don't think I'm going to have people go through and do program names and introductions. Just put that in chat. Just tell us who you are and where you're from. And then I'll just go ahead and get started with announcements. We got $266,000 in the budget for the AmeriCorps project. So that should be signed today. We were trying, I'm still trying up until the last minute to get the program attorney piece in there, but that we have some work to do on that issue. The kids attorneys groups, they were very much, saying, oh my gosh, this is going to cut into our funding, even though we're not getting any of that. So, and I've had some conversations with the governor's office about that issue. I think we need to frame it a little bit differently and maybe work on that this summer and how we can kind of talk to people about that. The other thing is, believe it or not, the court's already accepting or they're soliciting bids or whatever, decision packages for the next budget cycle. So and those are due at the end of this month. So I'm already working on that. I don't think there's going to be anything. I'm working with the JCAs and trying to get what that'll look like. It'll probably be very similar to other requests. So we'll probably put the program attorneys out there again, and then just some general expansion funding to kind of, somewhere between $3 and $5 million probably per year, and go from there. But nothing new-ish. Any questions about budget items? And then just finally, the only legislative bill that we were still tracking at the end, for those of you that were watching it, was the Guardianship Bill, though a new Guardianship Bill that states that the department needs to ask the family, especially if it's in relative situations. Sorry, I forgot to turn my email off. So what was it? 1747. Guardianships, the department has to ask if they would be better for, or they just have to ask if guardianship has been contemplated prior to filing a termination of parental rights, and making sure that that's part of the process and be able to document that, and before they can claim good cause. So we'll talk more about that at the program development meeting, but that's really the only bill that we were tracking that had made it through to the end. Okay, well, I am going to just throw it out there. Does anyone have any program announcements that they want to make, or just shout outs or kudos to anything or anyone, or just something that you're proud of that you want to let everyone know about? Anyone?
Happy birthday, Katie. Thank you. I have no shame on my birthday. I feel like, the rest of every day of the rest of the year is about somebody else. I actually have a shout out to Morgan. I probably every meeting could give a shout out to her, but she was really helpful again. We had a termination hearing late September, and the AG still hadn't gotten the findings written up and submitted, and I tried throwing every fit I could, and then remembered that maybe an attorney could do something, see if we had an attorney for our program. But so Morgan was helpful, and we were able to file a motion for an order of presentment. So we finally got that in. I just wish we would have thought of that 4 months ago. So thank you. It worked.
Good. Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, we've had some movement with people. So I think most heard, so Julio, he left our program and went to DCYF. He's doing, I don't know, he's in charge of like people who do
Family
FTPM.
engagement. Yes.
Yeah, family engagement. That's what he's doing, which is was sad for us, but it's also nice to have a connection over at DCYF. Kim, oh my God, I'm totally blanking on people's last names today.
Severs.
Yeah, sorry. I actually thought today was Friday for like half the week. So Kim Severs, she had originally been an advocate with us, and then she got hired as a GAL. She just moved into the advocate supervisor position, so she'll be at the upcoming training. Nikki Ehlers, who joined us as an advocate supervisor when Laura Bento left. She'll be a new face for people. And then we have 2 new GALs starting on the 21st of March with our program. And we had a new GAL join us this summer as well. So we've had a lot of movement in our program the last like 6 months. And Buffy's rocking it as our program manager, I would just like to say. She's helping out with interviews over at DCYF this morning. That's why she couldn't be here.
Others?
Only thing I have to say is I don't know what has happened in 2022, but we've had more filings this year so far than I've had in the last year. So I don't know if it's because we're all of a sudden, or like Ryan had said the other day, done with the pandemic all of a sudden here, or what is going on. But we're honestly over here just trying to keep our head above water.
I got here late. I'm not sure what everybody's doing. Sorry, Ryan.
Scared me, Sheila.
Sorry. I'm here.
We miss you, Sheila.
Happy birthday, lady.
Thank you.
No, we're just doing.
I like to scare Ryan.
Yeah, you do. Shout outs, kudos, odes to joy, anything you got, Sheila.
Okay. Well, we have lots going on here at Benton Franklin. Since the pandemic, my agency here, we've averaged probably between 1 and 3 shelter cares a week. It's been nuts. I actually had 3 weeks without a new shelter care, but had one today. So we have been slammed. I don't see it slowing down, and I can't really put my finger on why. I can't say it's COVID. I can't say it's homelessness. I can't say it's fentanyl. It's just, I can't say it's mental health. It's just everything. We've had judges retire. We've got a new judge on the bench, and I'm very excited. Jacqueline Stam is our new presiding judge, and she has some goal of, we've had kids lingering in shelter care in our county, which I'm embarrassed to say, for years now, since COVID, and we're doing some cleanup. So she's cracking her whip. We're getting some fact-finding orders entered. We're setting trials. We're going to trial. We're having trials. Things are finally starting to break loose and move here in Benton Franklin. So really happy there. Our administrator's retiring too. He's leaving in 2 weeks. I'm not retiring. I would like to, but I'm still here. So we've got lots of change on the horizon. I'm recruiting like a mad woman. I'm running radio ads. I've got Tri-City Herald paper ads going. I've got yard signs out in the community, and I'm getting nothing. So I don't know if everybody else is having troubles. I don't know if it's gas prices. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's the war in Ukraine. I don't know if it's just bad time of the year again, weather, but I am just not getting hits for volunteers, and I need them desperately. So that's where I'm at.
Boy, Sheila, do I have a deal for you? Brianna, that's your cue. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh man, hi everyone. My name is Brianna Kirschenbaum. I'm the new AmeriCorps project coordinator. So we're going to be recruiting some AmeriCorps volunteers to kind of help out with volunteer recruitment. And I'll get into that a little bit more later, but I guess I'll start out with like a little introduction for myself. I actually was working as an AmeriCorps the past 2 years, and I was placed at schools at Washington. I'm originally from San Francisco, and I actually moved here to Seattle for my AmeriCorps position. And I'm really excited to be here working with all of you. I feel like AmeriCorps was like really, I don't know, important to me and getting to where like I want to be just professionally and personally. So I'm super excited to be helping to recruit some AmeriCorps to help you all with volunteer recruitment and mentoring them to kind of get settled professionally and, you know, achieve our volunteer recruitment goals. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the timeline for our AmeriCorps project. And then there's also a little like data collection piece that I could really use your all's help with, but we'll talk about that at the end. As far as our AmeriCorps timeline goes, our grant is due at the end of March, so we're working on that now, but we should have that all turned in later this month. We're going to know if we get the grant or not like in mid-May. But we, as Ryan mentioned, we do have all the funding for our AmeriCorps stuff, so we're hoping that greases the wheels a little bit. As far as the grant money actually being awarded, that would happen at the end of July. And then we would start recruiting AmeriCorps in August and September, and we're really hoping to have like all of our ducks in a row in the fall. And then at that point, we'd be having an orientation for them to make sure that they know like all the things they need to know to be helping you with volunteer recruitment. And, you know, I'll be around to kind of facilitate a lot of their like projects that they're going to have going on in work groups to make sure that they're like feeling good, like at your programs. But also I'm here for you guys too, to make sure that like you're feeling good having them there and that this is all like very like a symbiotic relationship. So that's the timeline. As far as data collection, we just need like a couple more data points for our like grant application. So we're going to be sending you all an email with like a few items. One is going to be like just a list of names of volunteers that have completed the core training in the past 2 years. And I just need like a yes or no if they went on to take a case or not. The other thing is a survey just about the AmeriCorps volunteers and what they'll be doing. They're definitely going to be helping with volunteer recruitment, but I really just want to see from you all like what activities will be like the most helpful. Like if you're interested in even having a volunteer, we're going to have 20, so they can be kind of spread out wherever. So just to like get a feel for all of those things. And then the last thing I'm going to be sending you is just like a more fleshed out job description of what the AmeriCorps will be doing, just so you can all like look that over and let me know how you feel about it. But anyways, that's really like all I have to say. I'm really excited to be here and like working with all of you. You know, if anyone has questions, like I can definitely take those, or, you know, I can pass it back to Ryan and you can just email me if you think of anything. So thanks.
Yeah, what questions do you guys have about it? It's like zombie land out there, guys. Okay.
Okay, it's like a lot of information at once and it's like a new thing. I totally understand if people don't like have questions in this moment.
Are these going to be like full-time positions that we need to find office space for, or?
Yeah, that is one of the questions that's on the survey is if you actually have like physical space in your office for them. I think we can talk more about like what that would look like. And like, I feel like even like the possibility of like remote work could be like a thing. It really, we have to work with AmeriCorps because there are certain guidelines that they have about like how, you know, you set up the space, like the physical space of the AmeriCorps. So we can always talk more about that. But we would hope for them to be working in person in the office. Yeah.
really nice to meet you. I'm curious, how is that going to work with like, I have 2 small counties. And I know, I'm surrounded by other very small counties. So I think Katy is the closest big one over at Walla Walla. How is that going to work? Are we probably going to have more of like a regional AmeriCorps volunteer, or how is that going to go?
I mean, my goal is, okay, we have 20 AmeriCorps volunteers that we're going to be recruiting. And they can kind of go wherever. I think like the best way to do this is to do it regionally. So I really like the, person that we get to like have a connection geographically with like the like program they're going to be serving. So I feel like if we have an AmeriCorps like from that area, then they would be like serving with you. But I do also think that if we're only finding them for like maybe bigger areas, we can like share them as well. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see like where, we're getting people, where we're like recruiting people from. But I mean, I'd like everyone to like benefit from this as much as possible. So
We'll share with you, Adrienne, if we get one. The nearest big city to you.
It's true though.
Harder to recruit to Pomeroy. Come on, come live here.
Brianna, I just want to share my experience. I started out as AmeriCorps myself 2 years ago, and here I am. And then as a supervisor, I had the great opportunity years ago, 10, 12 years ago, maybe longer, to have an AmeriCorps member in our program. So, and she stayed as a volunteer, even though her term of service was ended. So it was good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like AmeriCorps can be really cool. Like, that's really awesome to hear your story and that like you were in AmeriCorps and now you're like, big wig. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like with my like AmeriCorps placement, I stayed there for 2 years when I only had to do 1. But like, I think it's a really unique opportunity to be able to like get involved in nonprofits and just like see how they work. So I'm really excited to like be here and also to know that there are people who share that experience as well. So thank you.
Mike, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question might be for Ryan. I'm not sure, but so will the 20 AmeriCorps members go through Corps first before they start recruiting?
No. And in fact, we're including that out of the design because that would be a lot of time that they would need to kind of go through that training. We are going to do an orientation for them though, where we kind of give them the condensed, here's what we do, here's what we need you to do, here are our selling points. It's just 30 hours of training for something that they're not ultimately going to end up doing. It's just not worth it. So.
Okay. And then I just have another question. Will the 20 AmeriCorps members, will they be tucked underneath the program coordinators, or will they all be overseen by Brianna? And so we can just focus on the VGALs.
Yeah, I think all the AmeriCorps are going to be under me. So I'm going to be like facilitating like most of the things that they'll be doing and activities. Like, obviously, I think there are going to be like some activities that are like regional, but like at the end of the day, like I'm the one that they should be like talking to when it comes to like whatever's going on. So yeah, this shouldn't be like a stressful thing for you. This is like my
I've overseen AmeriCorps members before, and it's a hit and miss.
Yeah, no, so, I totally understand.
So I don't have extra energy to put into training that level. So that's good to hear. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Yeah, and Sarah, just to that point too, that's why it's nice to have 20, because I figure even if we get 10 good ones across the state, that we can share those, and we're going to get a crappy one here and there, but we'll overcome it, and hopefully it's a value add. So.
Did you say you were going to send out those surveys to us, or is there somewhere to go to get those surveys? I'm sorry, I missed.
Oh yeah, no worries. No, I'll send them to you. Don't worry. You don't have to like do any extra stuff. Just be looking out for an email from me. But yeah.
Well, Brianna, hi, I'm Ann McAvoy from Grace Harbor. Sorry I'm late. I just want to welcome you.
Oh, thank you.
Our lovely programs, and welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here. I really appreciate meeting all of you as well.
Brianna, this is Lisa from Schlein Douglas. How are you? Welcome. Just a quick question about, you might have said this and I might have missed that at the end of your spiel, but do you have a set job description for your AmeriCorps volunteers, or, because, we may be not necessarily needing them for volunteer recruitment. Maybe we'll want to use them for outreach or things like that.
Yeah, so we are going to have a set job description. And what I will say is AmeriCorps, like the organization, is pretty strict about like what the members can do. So they are going to have to do work around volunteer recruitment, but there is also a second piece that is around volunteer engagement and outreach. So, just like keeping the volunteers like engaged from like day one of contact to like taking on a case. But it has to fall like within like that realm.
So what they're doing is they're volunteering to help with recruiting.
Oh wait, Catherine, I don't know if I can hear you.
I don't think we were supposed to hear Catherine.
Oh,
So-
okay, sorry.
Anyone else? We'll be spending some more time talking about this at the program development meeting about this project, just because we just found out today that like we were going to be getting the funding, or actually yesterday at 3 o'clock. So it was kind of like, you guys, most of you nonprofits know, like you're waiting to hear about a grant and you don't want to get too caught up in thinking about, oh my gosh, this is going to be so great if I get it, and then ultimately to not get it. So we were cautiously optimistic, but that's kind of where we are. So just really quickly then, I just have a couple of other things to remind folks about, kind of what we're working on. We will be doing another Day of Data survey collection at the end of this month. So I sent out a note about that, but that's that same survey that we've been asking for years now. I think we started it in 2017. I can't emphasize enough, like that survey is the one area that kind of lets folks know our outcomes and like how at a CASA advocate, how collectively we have outcomes for kids. That's really the only thing we've got going for us to kind of show those kinds of outcomes and results, at least here in Washington State. So if you could please make sure that your volunteers fill that out. Yeah. And I know, like, I've been sending out surveys about the trainings and stuff like that. People are not wanting to fill out surveys these days. So I'm going to need you a little bit of help, just pushing that forward a little bit. Because if, last year we had about a couple hundred do the last one, and we really need a little bit more than that to kind of make it. We've had years where we've had 600 or 700 before. So, but I get it. And so anything that you can do to kind of push that and roll that out so that we can get those, that will go live September 26th, and then we'll have that open that whole week.
Brian, is there any way, without there being a lot of work on your end, for us to get like, or find for ourselves, halfway through to be able to see, like by Wednesday, like, boy, only 2 of our advocates have sent something in. I'm going to start calling everybody individually, or something, or just some way to get some feedback midway, or would that just be like a ridiculous ask?
No, that's totally easy. All that stuff goes on Podio. So there's
okay.
And so, but it's a separate piece, but yeah, I can pull those together and just say, hey, you got 10 people that responded. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're happy to do that so we can just increase our pressure, or, figure out who did and who didn't.
Do that.
Thanks.
I might even be able to do something like daily too. I'll just, because it's just a spreadsheet in a database, so we could do that. Any other questions about day of data? Okay, core training. So we've got another one of those coming up April 11th. If you go on our Facebook page, I've got a little tulipy thing that I would really encourage you to share. I don't know about this with you guys, but like getting child advocacy advertisements on Facebook, because we use the word advocate in our name, apparently that there's a thing on Facebook that doesn't allow advocacy or like political advocacy. So every time I run an ad, it's like 50-50 that it gets rejected. It's weird and I cannot figure it out. So this is one of those times where it's actually getting rejected on my end. So like, because usually I'll throw like $50 for advertising or something like that to kind of get it out there, but it's not doing that for me. And I was just fighting with them a little bit earlier this morning about that, but you should be able to see it and share it. That's not the problem. It's just when I'm trying to run paid revenue ad for it. So, but if you share it with your folks, that would be great. It just like before, just so you know, that week before, we're all going to be at the program development meeting anyway. So, but when I get back on Friday, I'll send out, like I do the Friday before every training, you know, we'll get those out there and have your people's emails and all that stuff so that they can start that training on Monday. So I do all those at once. So get your folks in and registered before Friday, whatever that Friday is before the 11th. So the 8th, I guess. Yeah. And then the next one after that will be in July. So we're doing them quarterly this year. So questions about the core training? Okay. Program development meeting. So that's going to be the 4th and 5th. And then we're doing the volunteer recruitment. We're doing a one-day training, and Buffy and I are going to co-facilitate that as we've done in the past. But so we'll do the program development meeting on day 1. So that Monday, it's going to be just introductions. It's a very loosey-goosey, not loosey-goosey. It's a very purposely not like making us do a whole bunch of work on that day, but it's really just to spend some time together. And then we have a woman that's going to be facilitating a just I asked her to do kind of some like, help me de-stress everyone. Like we all need some, you know, to teach us some de-stressing techniques. She's a former social worker in King County, so she knows us and she knows what we do. So, and then she also promised that she would videotape like private, she would do like a yoga series for us, because initially she was like, oh, I could do a yoga thing on Monday evening. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're all going to be hitting the bar. Like, so you might have like 3 people that show up. So anyway, she's like, oh, that makes sense. So she graciously offered to tape those for us, and then we'll have those available afterwards.
We could do drinking yoga.
Yeah, right. That I don't think
balance your glass.
I don't think I have insurance for that, Anne.
And don't video that.
So anyway, and then the next day, that's where we do have some work that we need to get done. So it's going to be a lot of like breaking. So we have to talk about the recruitment or the volunteer recruitment stuff and the AmeriCorps, get that solidified. Our MOU with the department is expiring this year. So I want to get it's going to be basically setting up some work groups so that we can get some stuff done. Just looking at my agenda and focusing a lot on training. Yeah, stuff like that. So, but that second day's agenda is kind of open, and I was just wanting to hear from you all. What are your expectations? What would you like to see us? What would make for a successful program development meeting for you?
A hosted after Monday dinner thing. Like with alcohol.
Okay.
You're talking about the second day, and are you talking about classes being
Yeah, whatever you
presented?
want. Yeah, just what do you,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Brian, how long is the wellness person going to present?
She's going to be doing all day or Monday afternoon. So after lunch
Okay.
for the rest of the evening or till 5 or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
That second day, is that going to be a day possibly when we're talking about some of the work that needs to be done about the regional attorneys, or is that something we're going to be looking at beforehand?
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. So chances are I will have already submitted so like a 1 or 2 page concept paper is due by then, but yeah, we can start talking about that and kind of what we need to do moving forward, because we do need to start figuring out legislative stuff and building a little bit more on that. So that'll be something that we can talk about too. We'll be setting up regional meetings too, so for the summer, like we've done, we can hopefully do those again. And just so you all know too, there is no conference. We are not doing an in-person conference this fall. We're going to wait until 2023. I was still fighting with the hotel about this last contract, and I didn't want to get myself into another contract when we were still trying to figure out this last contract. So, yeah.
I just want to put a plug in for Morgan. I really appreciate your help. I can only imagine the the emails you get, but from us small counties and some of the stuff that we've come across lately, I just want to thank you. I thank you so much for your input.
Yeah, no problem. But again, another reason why we need regional program attorneys for everybody, right?
All right. Well, if you haven't done so already, please make your reservations for the program managers meeting. I sent you the link. And yeah. So the other thing to know too, well, I'll just ask you guys. So kind of to Val's point, so the hotel is kind of out in a spit in Bellingham Bay, right? Like you have to trek off to go anywhere. Do you want dinner? I mean, we could do like a big dinner somewhere, or not a big dinner, but like plated. I don't know. Do you want to all eat together that evening?
That would be cool. It's been so long since I've seen everyone. It would just be nice to connect. Just in my humble opinion.
Maybe, how about something like this, or like super heavy hors d'oeuvres, like where we could kind of buffet style, just eat and then, would that work? I'm just thinking like once you get into catering dinners, oh my God, you have no idea how expensive those things are. And lunch is bad enough. It costs like $10 for a muffin.
Wow.
And I'm not this person, but I do know there are some people that this is probably going to be one of the first times they've been in a large group for an all day. And that, I don't know, I've had people say I was an extrovert, and not me personally, but themselves. I was an extrovert, now I'm an introvert. So after an all day of being together, there might be some that are like, I just want to go back to my room. I do like the idea of getting together for something light and eating like that's not business and that's like social. But I just wonder if there's going to be some people who are like, I've had enough people time. I need some me time. Wendy, did you just wave your hand?
Sorry, you guys aren't going to believe this, but I am no longer an extrovert. Like I'm all people out. Who knew?
I mean, I would be there for it, but I know there's some people who might be like, but also feel the pull to like be there.
And that's a good point, Tracy. And Ryan, that's a good idea. Just hors d'oeuvres and mingle. And if folks don't want to come, then that's okay.
Or they can come, fill up their bucket, and then go back up to their room. That's totally legit too. So
An optional social hour.
with food.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm into that.
I like that too. Okay. Well, if you think of anything that you want to make sure you didn't want to, just email me, and I've got plenty of time, and I'm keeping it purposefully loose because I know we've all been through a lot, and like everyone's saying, this is going to be the first time we've all been together in a long time, so I don't want to exhaust you all, right? So it's basically the whole idea is just to get back together and see each other and figure out what we can do together. Second, D. Wilson, so he was presenting at our conference, and he offered at the end of that, he's like, hey, if you ever need me to do trainings, I wish I could do a D. Wilson imitation. I'll have to work on that between here and the next time. But he offered to do, like, he's like, I'll do staff trainings for you guys if you want. And so one of the things that we'll talk about, I'm going to set it up to do like a recurring monthly training where we get to pick the topic, and he's like, I'll research it and then we can talk about that. I was like, oh, that sounds really awesome. So, and he's so smart and knows what he's doing. So, do you guys have a preference on, so what I was thinking about doing is setting it up for Thursday afternoons, because it feels like just in listening to email chatter and watching you guys around, Thursday afternoon seems to be a good spot for everyone. Does anyone say, they'll be recorded, but does anyone have a hard no on that time?
That's our Thursday all day is our court day.
Okay.
Including FRC. So, but if I'm the only one, it's okay.
And who would we be? Ryan, sorry, this is Michael.
Michael.
I'm assuming if we'd have a lot of staff and frankly Casas that would benefit from, an hour with D. Wilson. So Thursday would not work for us. Generally, everybody's in court. So the only times that people are not in court for our program is really Friday afternoon. That's the greatest time, but the reality is, folks could come. I mean, I get it. If it worked, Thursday worked for everybody, terrific.
What about Friday afternoon?
I mean, I think if they're being recorded, that would be helpful. We have court all day Thursdays too, but it doesn't affect everyone. Our staff does work on a flexible schedule, and looking at people turning in their time slips, most of them have a short day Friday and aren't working Friday afternoon unless they have we have 3:30 settlement conferences on Friday afternoon of all days. So I don't know who picked that schedule. It's like horrible. So, I mean, I would say for us, I mean, really, we would always find a conflict with any time. So as long as they're recorded and our folks can access them, that would be the biggest thing.
And I know for us, Thursday and Friday are trial days, and we have several of those set, but I honestly probably can work around that if I know a specific time that I need to be present.
Well, do you want to start Friday afternoon and then go from there? And then we can talk more about it at the program development meeting, but maybe I'll set something up for a Friday afternoon, and maybe we can even alternate them. And I need to check with Dee's schedule too. I forgot.
Yeah. So. And I guess, Ryan, after listening to Tracy and Ann, I guess I would agree with that. If things are recorded, put them on whatever works for, sounds like if you think Thursday's great, then we'll figure it out. So okay.
The other nice thing with D too, because he doesn't, especially if you saw him during our presentation, he did a couple of presentations that he doesn't like using the PowerPoint while he's speaking over Zoom. They actually make for really good podcasts. And so I'm actually setting up some of those so that we can record them. And then that way you guys can, when you're out for a walk or whatever like that, you can listen to them that way as well. And I've often found with these stuff too, like you listen to it again and it's like, I missed that the first time. And that's even that much more amazing. So that was one of the other reasons why. So, okay, well, I'll look at, he sent me an email with his schedule, but I can't remember what it said. So I'll look between either Thursday or Friday, and then we can go from there. And speaking of stuff, pretty much training stuff on our website now is most, if not all, of the conference sessions from the past. So they were all available on YouTube. Any training materials and handouts, that's all up there too now. So if you just go there on our website, you'll have access to that. Which is another reason why I'm excited to do another year's worth of virtual conference, because then that's another 40, 50 sessions of training that I can put online and then have those available for everyone to listen to those and use. So, but those are all going to be out there as well. And if you see anything or you click on something and it takes you to something that you weren't expecting, please let me know so I can fix that. I was doing a lot of that work while I was on other Zooms. And so I always think about my ability to multitask while I'm doing Zooms is amazing. But any of you who saw the 4E request and how it was like, fill out your request for January of 2020, I don't do a very good job editing. So sometimes I get a little lost. So, because I'm listening to Zoom. And then finally, just as a reminder, today at 3 o'clock, we have somebody from headquarters at the department talking about the ICPC process. A couple of you had mentioned over the past couple of months where I get a different story from every social worker I talk to about how this works. So we decided to just go straight to headquarters and kind of, get the straight answer from that and see what those are and see what that is. So that too will be recorded this afternoon, but if you can, it'd be great to see you there. That is my list. Does anybody have anything else that they want to ask about or tell us about or say anything about?
Ryan, what did you just say about the ICPC training?
Today at 3.
Okay, thanks.
And there's a link to it in your email. And we finished 15 minutes early. Okay,